It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of March 7th, 2003. Got three films to look at today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. And we'll start off with the first movie that we have here, the biggest new release of the weekend, and, needless to say, it's a very interesting film to start off with. So, let's go ahead and talk about Steve Martin and Queen Latifah, who are bringing down the house. Yeah, that was a thing, and, let's go ahead and talk about this movie. You have Steve Martin as a lonely lawyer who is divorced, and he meets a woman on the internet thinking that he's meeting this lawyer that he sees in the picture. I believe it's a lawyer, but it turns out he finds out that it's actually this black woman played by Queen Latifah, and learns that she has escaped prison to prove her innocence. She then proceeds to wreak havoc on his upper class life, and yeah, this is a film that could have that is one of those films that, on paper, just from the trailer alone, and from the commercial alone, this feels like a film that's dead on arrival. Like this feels like poison on so many levels. And coincidentally, Queen Latifah was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Chicago around this time, and one could potentially make the argument that this was probably the film that have caused her to lose the Oscar, even though I'm not going to go down that route, because Catherine Zeta-Jones definitely deserved to win in that category. But yeah, this is a film that easily could backfire on so many levels, and yet, despite how dated it can be, despite the fact that sometimes it feels like it is a film that is really, really, it's really so out of touch and it's so dated on so many levels. Despite all of those problems and more that this film has, I have to admit, I kind of admire this movie. I kind of think it's a fun film. It's a film that is clearly out of touch. It's a film that's clearly dated. It's a film that could easily be seen as somewhat offensive in many different ways. Not a lot of the jokes work. Some jokes are so silly and stupid that they do work. I'm sorry. Hearing Jim's dad from American Pie going to Queen Latifah and being like, "You got me straight tripping, boo," is just like, it's one of those things where it's the performance that sells it for me, and that's the performance in this film that really, overall, sells the film as a whole. Everybody here is playing it so straight. Everybody is playing it so not in a way where they don't feel like they want to be there. Everyone feels like they want to be here for how ridiculous this movie is, and that's really the thing that really pushes me to the level where I have to say that, yeah, this is not a great movie, but I'll be goddamn if I wasn't laughing my ass off a couple of times throughout this. I mean, Steve Martin and Queen Latifah really do work well in this film. I think the cast overall is great. Not just Martin, Latifah, and Levy, but you have Gene Smart, you've got Missy Pyle, Kimberly J. Brown, Angus T. Jones, pre Two and a Half Men, Betty White, Michael Rosenbaum, Joe Plowright. A film that is so easily, it's in just one misstep, this thing could fall apart big time and completely crater off the map, but it really does not, and that's the weirdest thing about this. This film feels like something that's doomed from the beginning, but because the talent is there, they have a director that's able to make this work, it just really turns into a fun little comedy that, shockingly, was one of the first big hits of the year. Like, this thing made more money than Daredevil. This thing made more money than Kangaroo Jack, which was a hit in January, but this was the first major hit of the year. Like, it grossed over $166 million worldwide, so over a $33 million budget. So there was clearly a demand for this movie, and it's amazing how in just 3 weeks that this was the #1 movie in the country. You could say that maybe it's because there was nothing else out there for it to become a success, or I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Because honestly, off the top of my head right now, I can't figure out what else there would be. What else would come out after the next 2 weeks. But the fact that this thing was the #1 film for 3 weeks tells you a lot. Like, this is a film that could have easily come and gone, but no, it stuck around. It made money. It was a big hit when it came out, and really, it's a really funny movie. It's a film that I did not expect to hold up as well as it does. Hold up as well might be a little bit of an overstatement. It's a fun movie. It knows exactly what it's trying to do. It may not work at times, but it's a film that really works because the cast is so totally in on it. The writing is so totally in on it. The directing is in on it. Not everything about it works, but it was a fun film. And for Steve Martin, it was the beginning of a pretty good year for him because he had two big hits, this one and Cheaper by the Dozen, and then he had Looney Tunes Back in Action, which was not a hit financially, but was still a great movie overall. He had a really good 2003. Sort of kind of like a comeback year for him when you really think about it, but overall, yeah, it's a film that should not work by any means necessary, and yet, at least for me, I thought it kind of did. It's a goofy film. It's kind of a guilty pleasure, honestly. It's a film that should be so much stupider and worse than it actually is, but it's a film that's just kind of like, you know what? I'm all in on it, man. I think it still kind of holds up a little bit. Not everything about it does, but I had a good time with it. I still have a good time with it, and there's a reason I bought the Blu-ray for this. I had no intentions of really ever watching it after I got it on Blu-ray, but I've watched it a couple times every couple of years, and it still makes me laugh even after all those times. So yeah, that is Bringing Down the House for you. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Antoine Fuqua's follow-up to Training Day, and that is Bruce Willis in the war drama Tears of the Sun. I'll give it this. It's better than Hearts War was the year before. You have a movie here depicting a fictitious U.S. Navy SEAL team rescue mission amidst the 21st century of the Civil War in Nigeria, where you have a lieutenant played by Bruce Willis commanding a team sent to rescue a U.S. citizen played by Monica Bellucci before the approaching rebels take her to a jungle hospital. This was Antoine Fuqua's follow-up to Training Day, and it was not a big hit. It only made $86 million off of its $100 million budget, so it was not a big hit whatsoever. And really, when you look at the film, it's a film that has a lot of high ambitions to it. There's a lot of things about it that I think they were trying to go for here, and it just didn't make the cut overall. It was a film that just really didn't live up to the potential that it could have had. And also didn't help that Antoine Fuqua and Bruce Willis did not get along on the film. In fact, I'm reading what Antoine Fuqua said after the movie came out, and he said, "It made money. The reason I did it was because there was an opportunity to say something real, and I think there was a fear on a lot of different people's parts. Once I started bringing people from Africa over here, people with one legs, people who really experience these things over there, it got very real, and all of a sudden people started saying, wow, we want to make sure this makes money, we want to market this, and it needs to be more of an action movie. There's too much money involved for this to be just an important story about these people's plight, and it became that during the shooting, which is really difficult because you go into a movie trying to say something, and in the middle of it, people shift gears on you because of the business of people not believing in it can be stressful, can be successful without more action or more heroic things. It got twisted, and it became very frustrating for me because I found myself doing more of an action movie, which is not what I wanted to do. It was a battle on everyone's part. And he even goes by to say that, he got pissed, Bruce Willis got pissed, and he actually liked Bruce, and it got to a point where working together was difficult because they saw two different movies. And Bruce Willis, of course, was one of the producers on this, and it just felt like a film that had a lot of creative differences behind the scenes. Like, I think if Antoine Fuqua made the movie that he wanted to make, I feel like this film could have been so much better than what it was. But I don't know. I mean, it feels like a film that has a lot of high ambitions and promise to it, but just didn't quite live up to it. I know there's a director's cut out there. I've never really seen it. I'm just going off of the theatrical cut. But the theatrical cut was just not that great overall. I mean, it's better than, like I said, it's better than Hearts War, but that's not really saying a whole lot for Hearts War. Hearts War is a terrible film, and this is just a mediocre film at best. One that I will probably never watch again. But yeah, it just felt like a film that had a lot of creative differences that were really leaving it from being the film that I think they wanted it to be. Antoine Fuqua wanted it to be. But so that is Tears from the Sun. Let's go ahead and take a look at the last film we have here, and that is Lisa Cholodenko's Laurel Canyon. So you have a newly graduated psychiatrist, Sam, played by Christian Bale, and his fiancée, Alex, played by Kate Beckinsale, who moved to Los Angeles from Sam's residency and into Sam's mother's house in upscale Laurel Canyon. Only problem is Sam's mother, played by Frances McDormand, is still there. Supposedly finishing up a record that she's producing from the band of her new boy toy, Ian, she seems more interested in smoking pot and drinking than actually working, though. Alex doesn't mind, but Sam is quite upset. Alex starts off focused on her work, finding a dissertation on genomics, but is then soon distracted by the rock and roll lifestyle going on around her. Meanwhile, Sam is equally distracted by beautiful Israeli intern Sarah being played by Natasha McElhenney, which Israeli intern. That doesn't. I don't know. I actually have not seen this movie per se. I've only heard like little bits and pieces of it here and there, seen a couple scenes here and there, so I honestly can't say for certain that this film is how to really feel about this particular film. From the little bits I saw from it, I thought it was alright, but there's just things about it that are just kind of like, from the little bits I saw, they were just kind of like, yeah, nothing too crazy, nothing too spectacular, just it looked like okay for what it was. But like I said, I haven't seen the movie in full, so I can't really say for certain how good the film actually is. But I hear it's got some decent praise overall, and I did like this person's, the Lisa Cholodenko's last film she directed, which was The Kids Are Alright. I thought that was a really good film, so I have a little bit of expectations going into this one, but it's one I'm probably not going to check out anytime soon. But maybe down the line I'll definitely check it out. But on the little bits and pieces that I saw, Laurel Canyon looked kind of interesting, but that's all I got for you on that one. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and when we meet next time, we'll take a look at 4 more movies, including Frankie Muniz and Hilary Duff and the spy comedy Agent Cody Banks. We also have The Hunted, directed by William Friedkin, Crispin Glover in the remake of Willard, and we also have the unexpected surprise hit Bennett Like Beckham with Parminder Nagra and Keira Knightley pre-Pirates of the Caribbean. So we'll take a look at those 4 films on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the plays on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. And don't go too far away, because coming up after I post this, there will be a new Time About the Movies flashback. We'll flashback to April Fool's Day 1988 with a couple of notable films, including Michael Keaton in Beetlejuice, Michael J. Fox and Kiefer Sutherland in Bright Lights, Big City, Demi Moore in The Seventh Sign, and Bellman and True. So we'll take a look at those 4 films on Time About the Movies flashback, which will be coming up right after this.